The deadline has passed, but the real decision is now underway. The UK government's consultation on extending the ILR timeline from 5 years to 10 or even 15 years has officially closed. The window for public submissions has ended, but the most critical phase of the process is now beginning behind closed doors. Hundreds of thousands of international workers who are already living and working lawfully in Britain are waiting for clarity. The Home Secretary confirmed that the final structure of the policy would only be determined after consultation responses were analysed. That means the outcome is still not finalised, but it is now entirely in the government's hands. The next announcement will determine whether the 5-year settlement route remains intact or is fundamentally extended. What was proposed before the deadline? Under the existing immigration framework, most skilled worker visa holders qualify for indefinite leave to remain after 5 continuous lawful years. That 5-year structure has shaped financial planning, career progression, and family decisions for thousands of lawful residents. The government proposed extending the standard pathway to 10 years as the new settlement default. For certain categories, including care workers and lower-paid sponsored roles, proposals suggested timelines could stretch to 15 years. If implemented broadly, the waiting period before permanent residence would double or even triple for many workers. The most controversial element of the proposal involved potential retrospective application to those already progressing toward 5-year settlement. Retrospective implementation would mean individuals who entered under one expectation could see their pathways significantly extended mid-process. For workers already 3 or 4 years into their route, that would represent a dramatic shift in long-term security expectations. The consultation period invited views on whether such an extension was justified and how it should be applied. What the Home Secretary confirmed. In a formal response issued during the consultation period, the Home Secretary stated that the final framing remained undecided. She confirmed that the exact impact of the policy would only be known after responses were analysed. The department committed to conducting targeted migrant research and completing a full equality impact assessment. That statement confirmed the consultation was not merely symbolic and would inform the final legislative approach. Now that the deadline has passed, those consultation responses are being reviewed and assessed internally. The Equality Impact Assessment will evaluate how proposed changes affect different demographic and economic groups. This review stage will determine whether the original proposals remain unchanged or are modified before implementation. The next public announcement will confirm whether the 5-year route survives or is replaced with a longer pathway. The petition and the scale of opposition. During the consultation period, a parliamentary petition opposing the extension of the 5-year route gained significant traction. Approximately 237,000 signatures were recorded calling for retention of the current settlement timeline. The petition proposed maintaining the 5-year route while considering alternative approaches to benefit access for new ILR holders. That number represented not only sponsored workers, but families, employers, and British citizens concerned about retrospective changes. However, petition signatures required email verification in order to be officially counted within parliamentary records. Unconfirmed signatures did not appear in the final official tally, regardless of initial submission. While the petition itself does not determine policy, it reflects the scale of public engagement with the proposal. The government's final response will likely reference the petition alongside formal consultation findings. Petition versus consultation. What actually shapes policy? Signing a petition signals political sentiment, but it does not provide structured evidence or policy analysis. The consultation responses submitted before the deadline now form the formal evidence base under review. Those responses include economic arguments, equality concerns, workforce impact assessments, and personal accounts. Repeated themes across thousands of submissions must be summarized within the official consultation response document. The Equality Impact Assessment will incorporate data from consultation responses and departmental research findings. If disproportionate effects on specific groups are identified, those findings become part of the official justification record. This stage of analysis is where the final settlement framework will be shaped and refined. The consultation window has closed, but the influence of submitted evidence is now being evaluated internally. Who could be most affected if the proposal proceeds? International workers currently residing in the United Kingdom under skilled worker sponsorship face the most direct impact. Care sector employees, NHS professionals, educators, engineers, and technology specialists could see their pathway extended. Families planning housing purchases or long-term education decisions based on 5-year permanence may face uncertainty. Workers approaching their 5th year would be particularly affected if retrospective application is confirmed. An extension from 5 to 10 years would significantly alter financial projections and stability planning for many households. Longer temporary status also increases cumulative visa renewal fees and health surcharge payments. Employers dependent on international talent could experience workforce retention challenges if settlement becomes significantly delayed. The final policy design will determine whether transitional protections are offered to those already resident. Who is not directly impacted by this specific review? British citizens are not directly affected by changes to settlement timelines for sponsored workers. Individuals who have already secured indefinite leave to remain would not lose their permanent status under these proposals. Applicants who have not yet entered the United Kingdom would apply under whichever framework becomes active at application. Temporary visa holders without settlement pathways are not directly impacted by this specific ILR timeline proposal. However, broader migration system reforms may introduce additional changes beyond the scope of this consultation. The current review focuses specifically on settlement timelines for long-term sponsored workers. What happens next in the policy process? Now that the consultation has closed, the Home Office is analyzing submitted responses in detail. Statistical trends, recurring themes, and equality considerations will be compiled into a formal summary. An equality impact assessment will be finalized to examine how different communities are affected. Economic modeling and migrant workforce research will feed into the final policy recommendation. After internal review concludes, the government will publish its official response to the consultation. That document will confirm whether the 5-year route remains, is extended to 10 years, or is modified further. There may be weeks or months between the consultation deadline and the final announcement. During this period, the decision will move from public participation to internal policy formulation. Once published, the final framework will outline implementation timelines and transitional arrangements if any exist. The announcement will provide clarity on whether retrospective elements are included in the final design. Legal and political dimensions still in play. Parliamentary debate has already raised concerns about retrospective extension for individuals already in the system. If the final policy introduces retrospective elements without safeguards, legal challenges could follow. Judicial review proceedings may examine whether equality duties were properly fulfilled during decision-making. Political pressure from members of Parliament may influence the inclusion of transitional protections. The consultation has closed, but political and legal scrutiny will continue after the government announces its decision. The equality impact assessment will be central to how the final policy is defended publicly and legally. What this moment means for current residents. For international workers already in Britain, uncertainty around settlement timelines has lasted for months. Life decisions involving property, family expansion, and career mobility depend heavily on clarity around permanence. The difference between 5 years and 10 years significantly alters long-term planning and financial commitments. With the consultation closed, the process has shifted from public input to internal evaluation. The next communication from the government will confirm whether settlement expectations change permanently. Until that announcement is published, the 5-year route technically remains the existing framework. However, the direction of travel will become clear once the official response is released. Final position as the review phase begins. The consultation on extending ILR timelines has officially closed and entered the analysis phase. The Home Secretary confirmed that final details would only be determined after reviewing responses. Approximately 237,000 petition signatures reflected substantial public engagement during the consultation period. Consultation submissions now form the formal evidence base influencing the final legislative outcome. The equality impact assessment and departmental research will shape how the policy is justified. The next official announcement will confirm whether the 5U settlement route survives or is extended. The decision will determine whether thousands of lawful residents face a significantly longer path to permanence. The deadline has passed, but the most consequential phase of the process is now unfolding internally. The final structure of UK settlement policy is no longer hypothetical. It is actively being determined. And when the government publishes its response, the future of the 5U route will finally be clarified. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon for future updates. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.